Hey guys, and welcome back to the Paint, Paper and Palette podcast. My name is Caitlin. I'm here with Izzy.
Hello.
And today we have another fun topic for you to talk about. But first, Izzy, how was your week?
Oh gosh, how was my week? Okay, I have something super funny to tell you guys. So, most of you know I regularly clean up my whole studio. And everybody's like, "Oh, you clean up your studio again, and how can you keep finding things?" Well, I keep finding things, but I also keep losing things. Last time I cleansed my studio, I lost my pretty expensive pencil sharpener. And we artists have... There's something about pencil sharpeners and something about erasers. We have a ton of them, but you only have one favorite. So this expensive pencil sharpener I lost, and I was really sad, and I was really annoyed. But I know myself, it will turn up eventually. Weeks passed by. Weeks. Last week, I decided, while I was looking for some backdrop paper, I went to the Pipo's, which is a pretty basic arts and crafts store here in the Netherlands. They have basic stuff, but it's not like an actual art supply store. And they had pencil sharpeners. And I was like, should I get one? Maybe I should. So I bought another one. Not the same brand. This one is, it looks the same, but it's from Bruinzeel. And for those who are just listening, it's those basic messing, heavy metal, pretty hefty pencil sharpeners with two holes. Apparently one is for color and one is for normal. I never knew that, but the size is the same, so I don't really understand. And I kid you not, the day I bought it, I went home, and because I went to CrossFit that night, I was looking for my AirPods. So I was fumbling around one of my many bags that I have, and what do I find? My lost pencil sharpener.
It's always in the weirdest places. Like I told you.
Why is it in one of my bags? I was so confused. The funny thing is, I had that bag with me all week. It was hanging around Noah's stroller, and I had my phone in it and my wallet. And when I was just looking around in it, I found my freaking pencil sharpener. And I was like, why? How? Why did I put it in a bag in the first place? And then I remember, a couple of podcasts ago, you had some advice for me that I, next time, maybe I could do like 10-minute sketches. Give yourself 10 minutes to sketch something really quick without thinking as an exercise. So I did that, and I brought my sketchbook to the zoo. And I also brought that pencil sharpener. So it's been in that bag for like weeks. So now I've got two pencil sharpeners. One that I still really love, and the other one that I just bought that I don't really love. And I don't know. You think pencil sharpeners are all the same, but you can really feel the difference.
Yeah, definitely. I have my favorite pencil sharpener.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually have a really fancy electric pencil sharpener. That was like 40 euros for a pencil sharpener. And it's amazing. But every time I bring it to a drink and draw, people want to lend my pencil sharpener. And now actually I want to like change the blades in the pencil sharpener. And you should be able to do it. But apparently this one has like a weird triangular thing that you have to screw off. It's like maybe because it's a Japanese sharpener that they do it like differently. But I'm like, this is really weird. I don't think the basic blades fit on that fancy pencil sharpener. So yeah, maybe I need to get like the special parts of the Japanese sharpener somewhere. I hope they're not too expensive.
Oh my gosh, I hope not.
But yeah, I love that one.
Remember that? I don't know if you had that, but back when I was in elementary school, like really low, like the first grades and stuff, we had these big electrical pencil sharpeners. it would look like a tiny little vacuum, and then you put your pencil and it goes. And before you know it, your pencil went from this to tiny this.
Yeah. We definitely had those.
Those were amazing. Oh, that's the dream, except for the sound. But yeah, that was my highlight of the week. I found my favorite pencil sharpener again. So what did you do?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I planned like my whole week way too full. And then I was overwhelmed and decided not to do anything I had planned. So instead, I picked up like, I used to do a lot of textile art. And I actually wanted to make textile arts my job in the past. I actually gave like crochet and knitting lessons and hand spinning lessons and stuff.
That's cool.
When I was younger.
Actual lessons, that's really nice.
Yeah. And I've had these boxes with like really, really pretty, gorgeous, amazing, soft yarn. And I haven't been using them. So I decided that I wanted to make like a little cover for my hot water bottle. I'm showing it to you guys. I don't know I think hot water bottle is the right English name.
The right English word.
You fill them with water and then you can keep them against your stomach if you have stomach aches, or like in the winter when it's cold, I put them on my feet or something.
So good. I do the same.
Yeah, and I didn't like that I didn't have a cover for it, because normally they get too hot and you just
that's
wrap like a little towel around it.
It's actually so weird. I remember years ago when I frequently buy them, they were selling them with cover, either fleece or cotton, or like for kids, like a little stuffed animal. But now all I see are the plain no cover rubber hot water bottles. Even for babies, they just sell the aluminium hot water bottles without a cover. And I don't know if that's a marketing thing or anything, but it's really annoying.
Well, I think it's just because most people have a couple of them. You don't really need that many covers. So I don't know if that's the point, that people were like, oh, I don't need another cover. I have like multiple. But I don't know. I think it would make more sense to try and sell it with a cover and you can charge for the cover. But so I was starting to work on some granny squares to make like a cover for this. Like last year, I did like 3 granny squares and then I didn't work on it anymore. And this week I was like, okay, I'm going to pick this back up and I'm going to finish that cover. And that's going to be it. But instead of like finishing this cover, I made like 40 granny squares and I only need 12 for this cover. So now I'm like, okay, what am I going to do with all these granny squares?
Yeah.
So last week we talked about we were going to do like some basic, simple, crafty, like creative stuff during the podcast, where we would talk about the subject and we would also do some drawing or do some painting or ceramics or whatever. I did ceramics last time, and then you swatched your colors for your new paints collection.
Yes, it's finally finished.
Go check it out on our website. It looks really cool, by the way. And this time I'm going to be working on using 12 granny squares to put together the cover.
Yay! Hooray for the cover! And I found a new love. I found a new hobby. Remember our last podcast we were talking about hoarding? Well, I think I found another addiction. And it's lino cutting. And I remember doing this in middle school or in elementary school even, in arts and crafts class. And I remember not liking it because, like every school, it was just crappy equipment. The linos were super old and therefore super hard. It was very hard to cut through. But then I saw someone on Instagram using these flexible linos. And they're very soft. Yeah. So I thought, okay, I'll give it a go because I want to stamp my boxes with the text, please recycle or reuse. And I had stickers made of that before, but that's so annoying. Every single sticker you have to peel off the back, and then eventually I didn't use them anymore. And I think stamping is just really, really quick and easy.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna make that. Let's see how far we'll go.
Talking about hoarding, I actually bought all the supplies to do that too, like a year ago.
Yeah, see?
And I haven't done it yet. But that's something I want to do like someday in the future.
Yeah, someday in the future. And the thing is, I remember that I didn't like doing it, but yet I still bought 3 of these soft cut linos, 3 pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Because I thought, okay.
Yeah, what if you mess the first one up and you want to try again?
Exactly, in case I fuck up. But yeah, that's how hoarding starts, huh? You're gonna buy something and then buy a little extra in case we screw up. I didn't screw up.
And I never use it.
My little test bird came out super, super cute. I don't have it with me.
Yeah,
but
I saw it. It's so cute.
It was amazing and I was immediately hooked. So, new hobby. You have to have a hobby next to your work, right?
The problem with me is that like all my hobbies turn into part of my business. I'm right away with these granny squares. I'm thinking like, ooh, I can make like clothes that if I go to a convention, I have my t-shirts with my prints that I'm going to make, and then I can also make like these hand crochet crop tops or hand crochet kimonos or hand crochet tote bags.
And sell them. Bags. Oh, those are so fun to make.
Yeah, and then you see them like at the little rack, you see like the t-shirts and then you see the crop tops and then you have some variation and it just looks really pretty.
Yeah, right?
But like right away, if I start anything, like any hobby that I get, I need to turn it into a business. That's just like how my mind works.
You immediately see a business model.
Yeah, and I've been like that since I was 6. Like when I was 6, I would make cakes. And then I would be like, oh, I'm going to sell them at the local braderie.
Oh, yeah?
Is it called? Like
flea market.
Little flea market. Yeah. I would sell them at the local flea market. But then I would be like, okay, but if I make one pie, I can sell it for like 12 euros.
Yeah.
But what if I make 3 pies and then I'm going to sell lottery tickets so that people can win the pie?
Oh my god, this is awesome.
And then I have like unlimited like I can make so much money of these 1 pies, and I think at one point I made like 2 pies and sold 80 euros for lottery tickets, and I'm like, oh, I'm a genius. I was like 6 years old.
So you're actually a natural businesswoman.
Yeah, and I surely know how to like get that money out of the people that would be like, oh, I'm gonna buy a lottery ticket from this 8-year-old.
Maybe you could do the same with your pallets. Like, buy a lottery ticket and maybe you'll win a big moon pallet.
I'm just gonna do the giveaways again at one point.
Yeah.
But let's not talk too much about all this random stuff, which is great. But we do have a topic for today's video.
You know what's funny? And you can cut this out. But you know what's funny? That this conversation could slowly get us to the topic of financially being independent.
Yeah, we're gonna do that next podcast. So
okay,
if you're interested in more of this stuff, you can just watch the next podcast into it. All right, but the topic of today's video is actually collaboration. And I was thinking about this because we do a lot of collaborations.
We do.
This podcast
is a collaboration.
We have done which collaborations have we done so far?
We've done tiny ones where you would buy some dots and put it in your packages. I think that's already a collaboration.
It is.
I bought pallets from you to fill. You made me bird ponds, which are still amazing. I'm saving them for a special collection. And what more did we do?
I guess we also did like where you buy my ceramics and you fill them with paint.
Yes.
Except for, of course, the bird ones that I especially made for you.
Yes.
You also just like got normal ones.
Yes.
And we are talking about doing maybe like a more plant-filled palette collaboration where I just make like a bigger amount of pellets so that you can last well.
Yes. And
And
the design
it's
is
a
just
little
for
pellet.
me.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you the box that Izzy sent me. She sent me a little box. And the idea is that I'm gonna make a pellet that fits into the box.
Yes.
And then there's gonna be like probably 3 colors in there and a little mixing area. So that's something we're gonna plan to see if we can do, like not just Izzy buys from me and then she fills it, but maybe more like we're doing something joint together with joint risks, and maybe we'll both make money when it sells, or we'll have to figure it out. But it's like something we've been working up towards. I don't think we would ever do a collaboration as complicated as this one
No.
if we wouldn't really know each other.
No, and that's the thing about collaborations. You have to have a good feeling with the person you're doing that. I get a lot of DMs from random strangers who want to do a collaboration, but they're really weird. Like they're just like, send me some paints and I will put them in my shop and it will be like collaboration. Or I'm an artist and I'm really I'm known for my pastel colors and it would be great if you could make pastel colors and then we can sell them together and blah blah blah. But I don't know that person. So
Also, pastel colors aren't really your thing.
Oh god, I hate
It's
pastel colors.
I love pastel colors.
You love
You're
pastel.
Weird.
I'm weird. You know, it's not like that I don't like them as a color per se, but I don't feel good making them because it's basically a tiny amount of pigment with a lot of titanium white pigment. And titanium white is just super, super cheap. And I don't know, there's this little voice in my head that's like, you cannot ask the amount of money you ask for your regular paints because this is cheap stuff. This is cheap stuff. This is cheap stuff.
Yeah, also, you can use any color and make it a pastel color by adding a white wash.
Exactly. Adding the titanium white yourself. So if you want pastels, just buy my paints and add some white gouache, okay? Okay, people.
Yeah,
okay.
Definitely. But yeah, that's the thing, and I think that even when you think you know someone quite well, you never know how they're gonna be in like a professional like agreement situation. You really need to like feel each other out,
Yeah,
and do some things together, like some very small things together first, before you're going to start and work on something big.
yeah.
And I think, like, at art school, we were talking a lot about how you want to do collaborations where you work together on an animation or work together on a comic book. And all those things are a lot of work. And
Definitely.
it makes sense. It makes very much sense to do it together, to find a group of people to produce your thing, because it's a lot of work, and collaborations can be very, very useful to get a big project and do it together. So it's not as much work per person, but you do need to like be able to trust the other person.
Yes.
Especially if nobody's getting paid in the beginning.
You know, and that's personally for me, that's quite a hard, not hard, but it's difficult for me with every collaboration. It's like, what are you gonna do? Are we gonna collaborate and then it's gonna sell, yes or no? And then we split like the profits, or and then the question is what you're gonna do with all the stuff that don't sell. Or do I, as a person, just buy the stuff from you, and then they are mine? Then all the stuff that I buy from you is mine, and I can do whatever the hell I want with it. But that's again a bigger financial risk.
Yeah, and of course, if we're going to do, for example, if we're going to do this collaboration that we've been talking about, I'm gonna make a bunch of pallets. I'm going to send them to you, and you're going to fill and sell them.
Yeah.
And we have the agreement that whenever one sells, that I'm going to earn like the full amount that I would get if I sell one on my webshop. What
Yeah.
happens if you drop one? What happens if one gets lost in the mail? Of course, we probably split the cost then, but like
Yeah.
there's all kind of small things that you have to think about.
Yeah.
Like and for if you should be open in talking about when something doesn't go the way you thought it would be,
Yeah.
because I feel like sometimes I would have a collaboration and something would go wrong, and then one of us assumed that we would fix it this way,
Yeah.
and then the other one might be like, oh no, that's not how I had it in mind. But if you talk about it, that's okay. And if you don't talk about it, then you can have like years later where people get mad at each other for something that already happened like a while ago.
A while ago. Yeah, luckily that
Yeah.
never happened to me. But it is, especially when you do collaborations internationally, communication is super, super important. I recently had a collaboration with Anindita in India, and that collaboration was so amazing. The communication was just good. It was nice. It was, we respected each other's wishes, and before any one of us made any decisions, we would talk it over. It was really, really nice, and I was so happy collaborating with her. And then she had sent me all of her sketchbooks because we did a whole collection together, and the collection did actually really well. But we have some sketchbooks still available, and now I'm quote unquote stuck with them, because they aren't mine. They are still hers, but they are here in my studio, and I'm like, okay, but what if they don't sell? What am I going to do with them? Am I going to send them back all the way to India, or am I going to buy them from her? And that's the question.
Yeah, that's difficult. And you also have to decide, like, at one point, are you going to put them on sale? They're keeping up space in your studio. Yeah, it's a difficult question, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a difficult question, and luckily we are very open in our communication. So last time I did a mystery Easter egg box, and I asked her, like, would you be open to me putting them in the box, and then with every box sold, she would get her part. And that was actually another great success.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, so she earned some money, and I have some more space in my studio, so that's great. But with little sketchbook, it's not really a big space that it's taking, of course. But what if we ever going to do a huge collaboration, you know?
Yeah, and what if you do a huge collaboration and it kind of fails?
Yeah, that sucks.
Like, you'll have to talk to each other about the losses that you're both going to make.
Yeah.
Because that's like, if you do a collaboration, I think, first of all, there should be benefit for both parts.
Yes.
A collaboration is never about one person reaping all the benefits and one person just doing the rest of the work, I guess.
It should be fair.
And you should also be, you should have this mindset of, hey, I'm also doing this for the other person. I'm not only doing it for myself.
Yeah.
Because that's I think that's like key. That's key for successful collaboration, is being like, you want the other person to succeed too. So you're gonna either fail together or gonna succeed together. It's not just one person that is like taking everything.
No, exactly.
But it is a mindset thing, and that might be difficult for some people to like accept. And if you're gonna fail, you should think about ahead, like, what's the worst thing that could happen, and if that's going to happen, how are we going to deal with it?
Yeah.
And can I deal with that emotionally? Like, if you know from yourself that you're a person who gets mad very easily, you should be more, what do you call it? Careful if you're doing collaborations.
If you're doing collaborations, yeah. Because there's no guarantee that your collaboration will succeed. Like, you can collaborate with someone who has tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or maybe million of followers. It doesn't mean that your collaboration will be automatically be super successful because the other person you're collaborating with is super successful. It doesn't work like that.
For this collaboration we're doing, actually, like the podcast that you're listening to right now, we talked about it beforehand. Like, okay, I think we're first going to make, I think we did 3 podcasts or maybe 4 podcasts before we started to launch them.
Yeah.
Just to see how we're vibing together and if it's going to work out. And if we really want to commit to something that can possibly take years.
Yeah.
Like, we tried it out first before we launched it, which I think was a very, very smart thing to do. We made a little bit of backlog, I'm gonna call it, where we made a couple of episodes so that we wouldn't be in stress if we needed to make, like, what if we didn't have an episode for like 2 days and then we need to be like, oh, Izzy, we really need to
then there's
record
the
the
time
podcast
stress
right now, and that adds to a lot of stress. So we also worked like in advance, so we didn't have any of that stress.
Yeah, plus we did that also because we also know that we're both quite busy in our daily lives, and chances are that some days that we plan the podcast we cannot do one.
Yeah. And that's how life works. I mean,
life works.
You're a mom, and sometimes your child needs to go first.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm the baby.
Aww.
Sometimes I need to be like crying in my bed and having alone time.
Yeah, and that's totally fine.
And it's nice that you can say, okay, we're not going to do the podcast today. We'll plan it another day because we have the backlog. So that's something we did. And we also talked about, okay, but what if it's like a total fail? Nobody listens to the podcast at all. And we've been doing it for like a couple of months and we get no response at all. What are we going to do? And I think we agreed on like giving it a try for a couple of months.
Yeah.
And then if it doesn't do anything at all, we can like still say, okay, we're not going to continue doing this.
Yes, but at least we're going to continue this season.
Yeah. And you need to have like the expectation of what's it going to be. And if it's going to fail, what are you both going to do?
Yeah.
Because if I would be like, at this point, okay, Izzy, we only have like 10 views each podcast, and I know we only have 3 episodes, but I'm sick of it, then you might be disappointed.
Could be.
So,
Could.
Yeah, it could be. We need to talk about it, and you need to be open about it, and that's... communication is key in like many aspects of life.
Yes, communication and honesty, because and that's with every collaboration, if one of them doesn't like something but doesn't say it, it's gonna
bite you in the back.
It's gonna bite you in the ass later.
In the ass, yeah.
But also it's gonna grow. You know, that little tiny thing you don't like will suddenly, maybe a year, it will grow into something really big. And it's like, well, that pixel Caitlin did, I don't like that at all. And I know it's just a pixel, but it's like huge to me. And yeah, it starts with a pixel, and then before you know it, you got a whole thing coming. So yeah, have you ever had a collaboration where at the end of it, you don't have to tell any names, of course, but at the end of it, you were like, I'm actually never going to do that again?
Yeah. I actually have done a couple of collaborations. Some professional and some just like with friends working on something. Also, school projects. I'm not going to talk about school projects, but I think like high school and also art school is like a big lesson where you definitely learn that often when you have a collaboration, it means that you are going to do all the work.
Oh, school.
But okay, let me a collaboration that I'm never going to do again. So
Yeah.
something I'm never going to do again
Yeah.
is starting out with. I talked a little bit about this, but starting out with a big collaboration on our first collaboration. There was this collaboration where somebody wanted to put together like art kits,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a great idea. They wanted to
Ooh.
make like watercolors and sell brushes and then have like a
A
little
little starting
suitcase.
kit. Yeah.
Yes, a suitcase that you could bring, and you'd have like a palette that would fit into there, and this would be a great collaboration. And I was going to make the palettes, and then I would send the palettes to them, and then they would put together the art kits and do all the marketing stuff. And I was like, great, I'm not good at marketing, so you do the marketing. And I can just make the palettes and send them to you, and then you're going to do the rest of the work. That sounds great to me. And so I made the palettes,
Yeah.
and then I sent the palettes to them.
Mm-hmm.
And to be totally honest, I wasn't really happy with the quality of the palettes, but it was the best that I could do at that point.
Yeah.
And I sent the palettes to them, and then they were like, "Oh, the palettes look great. I'm so happy with them. I'm going to work on this and this." And then I think that's how far it went. I never saw any
Oh.
I think I never saw any project pictures. I never saw.
Huh?
They would give me like a 24 handmade watercolor set in exchange for like my work on the 10 palettes.
Wait, you
Which
didn't get paid?
no, I didn't get paid at all. We were going to like sell the thing, and
Yeah.
then I would get paid.
Oh, okay.
Because they didn't want to be like and of course this sounds really stupid, because of course you need to get paid in advance, at least like a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So you both have like shared risk, because that's just going to be something that always when you need to do a collaboration, you both need to have a little bit of risk.
Yeah.
Because if one person doesn't have any risk at all, they can just say like, okay, I'm gonna do that like in 5 years.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened, is like this person didn't have any risk at all with our collaboration. They could just be like, this project of a mini set of art supplies is really nice, and I think it would sell, but it's like not my priority right now, so I'm going to do it in like a long time from now. And I think I agreed to that collaboration,
Mm-hmm.
because this was a person that I really trusted. They seemed like really trustworthy.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like so bad. It's not even something that I thought would be a great idea. They approached me and were like, hey, can you do this for me? And then we can sell it together. So it really seemed like they had thought out this plan they were going to do. But then they just didn't. And they did come back to me like, oh, hey, I know I haven't worked on it, but I have some things going on in my life, and I'm going to do this after this other project. And I was like, yeah, sure, fine. And then it never happened again. And I actually also didn't really push for them to finish it, because I wasn't really happy with the palettes that I made. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was just like a little bit of a sour whole thing. And I'm not
Yeah.
mad at them or anything. I just feel like, yeah, that's something to learn from, and I'm never going to do it like this way. Even if you would come to me and be like, hey, Caitlin, we're going to do a little art set, I'm still going to make you pay at least a little bit.
No, exactly, because that is from the other side. That's why I personally love it more when I just pay you first. Yes, it's a financial risk, but I feel less stress if I just pay
Mm-hmm.
you first, and then it's my own, then I own it, and then if I don't have time right now and I will do it in 5 years, then it's something I have to deal with myself, and there's not someone I'm dragging with, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
dragging you with me in whatever there's going on in my life, you know? And
Yeah,
and
and
and that
that's
is
difficult. that's difficult about collaboration. I think
Mm.
if you do a collaboration where you are working on something together and for some reason you can't just buy the thing from the other person, maybe you do something shared, like um, make sure that you can do what you promise, because
Exactly.
otherwise people won't want to work with you anymore.
Hmm.
And it just leaves like collaborations can be so much fun, and they can be like great promotional stuff for both parties. But if you are not going to finish what you promised on, uh, you don't know who they're gonna talk about you not finishing the project to. Like it may not only be that they are not going to work together with you anymore, but they might tell other people like, hey, I saw that you wanted to do a collaboration with this person, but actually I tried to do a collaboration with them and it failed because they didn't do their work. Like you're gonna miss out on fun opportunities, and that's just sad,
And that
I
actually
think.
happened. I was in I was talking to someone who who asked another person to make something of their product, um,
Mm-hmm.
but change some things, as part of a collaboration. So they have like a product, a standard product, but there was something on that product that they didn't like and they wanted to change it. And the person said, okay, but it's going to cost you extra, which was also really weird to me. But okay, fine, she did that. And then the end product that was sent to her was suddenly such a different quality than she was used to.
Oh, that's weird.
That was really weird, and we think it's because that person she collaborated with didn't actually want to do what she asked, but instead of
Mm-hmm.
saying no, they just said yes, but they actually didn't want to do it, which resulted
Yeah.
in, I think, bad quality products.
Mm-hmm.
And then she was really disappointed and was talking to me and another person about it. And we were like, well, you paid extra for it, but then you get this. This is really weird. Um, Also, I bought
Yeah.
the product of this person before and I never had any issues. So it's very weird to me that suddenly, because she asked something special, that it was super bad quality.
And that's a lesson to take from this is, even if somebody you really love and appreciate is going to ask you to do a collaboration, make sure
Hmm.
that it's something that you actually want to do.
Yeah,
Because if it's something that you don't really want to do, then the collaboration, like you're not gonna give them your best. And
exactly,
if you
exactly.
don't
That.
give them your best, they might be disappointed with like the
Yes.
quality of the work that you're giving them,
Yeah, and
which is
then this is
like,
going to happen because she was talking to me, and then I was talking to someone else, and she was talking to also other people, and now there are a bunch of people who don't buy this product anymore simply because of what happened to her.
yeah, yeah,
And that's the thing. That's the thing. It could happen. It could happen.
it could happen.
So
And
be honest. It's very important to be honest, no matter how much you like each other. If the timing isn't right, or you're not in a good place, or life is busy, um, be honest, because at the end of the day, both of you will be annoyed, and possibly it could break a friendship.
mhm. uh, and also something else, something that I had in mind. Let me check the time real quick. Okay, we're at 40
No,
minutes
no
right now.
problem.
Um, so something else. You need to realize that collaborations are not always equal. There will be collaborations where you're going to do a lot more work,
Yeah,
and you have to think about whether that's fair or not
yeah,
and how it's going to benefit both of you. For example, this podcast collaboration
yeah.
that we're doing, I approached you. I was like, hey, Izzy, you seem like a really nice and friendly, outgoing person. Every
Aw.
time we talk, it just feels like nice.
No.
I really want to make a podcast, and I haven't really found like the right person to do a podcast with. Do you want to do a podcast with me? And then we talked about like, how are we gonna host it? Okay, we're gonna put it on my YouTube channel. And so I approached you, and of course, if I look at the benefits from this podcast, we both have some benefits. We get some like people enjoy listening to it. They get to know us a little bit more. That means that people will want to buy from us, which is like beneficial to both of us. But then it's also growing my YouTube channel right now.
It is.
Which is also
which is good.
Which is really nice for
which
me.
Is good.
But then I was like, okay, so I want to really have this podcast, and I want Izzy to join me. How can I make it as easy as possible for Izzy, and as enjoyable as possible? So maybe I'll just edit the videos, because that's a lot of work. And it's something that I can do because I already have some editing experience.
Yeah.
And then sometimes when you come up with an idea for the podcast, I can write it down, and then maybe we can do your idea. And if you don't have any ideas, I can just make a list and be like, okay, I just do a lot of preparation because I think at this point I get more out of the podcast than you do, and I also want to make it like as fun, as easy as possible for you.
I'm just really enjoying being here.
Yeah, and that's also like, I also wanted this to be a fun time for us to spend time with each other.
Yeah.
So that's great, but then you can see that it's not 100% equal in work, and sometimes you have to be prepared to do that. You can't always assume, like, I can't assume, okay, we're going to do a podcast together. Half of the time I'm going to edit it, and half of the time Izzy is going to edit it. I can't just like always assume that. And I'm prepared to do some of the work. Like, we can always talk about it. I can always say like, oh, Izzy, it's a lot of work. I know you can do some. Can you do some video editing? Or like,
sure,
it's a lot of work. Can you do the thumbnails this week? And we can always talk about it, but also you have to be prepared sometimes to do a little bit more work and not get like salty about it.
Yeah, but that's also the thing about when you were the one approaching me, and that's what I also said to my husband. I said, she approached me, and I'm the kind of person, like, if you back in school, if you would be with me in a group assignment, I would be the kind of person who would take the lead. That is just my personality. But with this podcast, I was like, okay, she approached me. This is her thing. I'm just gonna let her do her thing. Because when we were having coffee together, I saw that you were very excited and passionate about this idea, and you really wanted to bring it to life. And that is the moment I decided, okay, I'm not going to take the lead in anything. This is your baby. This is your project. I just want to be a sidekick. But I also said, whatever you need, if you need any help, or, this application we're using, it's a paid application. I also said, I am willing to do extra, do more. Also, if we're going to continue this app, I also want to pay for it. And it's just a very open, it's always an open conversation. It's never closed. And that's why I really like working with you. But working with you is like, for me, the level I want to have with every future collaboration, no matter with who. It's like, if it's
I'm putting the bar.
If it's not if it's not on the Caitlin level, I don't want to do it.
Oh, that's gonna be hard because I'm awesome.
I know. So it's gonna be very hard collaborating.
Well, you should want that for yourself. That's great. And that's also what I plan to do, is like, I have to be a little bit more strict whenever I do ceramics for people, or whenever I do a collaboration. One little thing, so I think it's great that you said, like, okay, this is like Caitlin's idea. I'm trying not to take the lead too much, because I think that it's very easy to get like sucked into someone else's project, and then you suddenly don't have time anymore for your projects, and then you're like, okay, but now it feels like I'm just doing like what they're dreaming of, and I'm not having time for my own things anymore, and that just feels bad, right?
Yeah.
uh, Sometimes somebody else is like, it would be so awesome to do like this and this, and then you're like, oh yeah, let's do that together, and then you do everything and they do nothing, and then you're like, but this was your idea, why aren't you doing
Yeah, and then
anything?
you're being exploited for their dream. And that's just, if you ever feel like that, you have to have the conversation.
Yeah, and just talk about it in a normal way, right? My mother is reading, I don't think she's reading the book anymore, but she has read this book, which is called Non-Violent Communication, where
Ooh.
it's like when somebody else is um, talking to you maybe in a rude way, maybe you can think about, okay, but what are they really feeling, what are they really saying? And also
Mm-hmm.
when you're talking to somebody else, maybe you feel hurt and angry, but can you say it in a way where you're not going to hurt the other person? Like how can you communicate with each other in a friendly way? And I think that's gonna be good to keep in mind with your
I think
collaboration.
everyone should read that book.
Yeah, I think so too. Uh, I think because we wanted to keep this podcast a little bit short, we're going to close off the collaboration thing, but I'm going to talk a little story to finish it off.
Ooh, okay. Come.
And it's like a life lesson for me. Is I've had 4 relationships in my life, romantical relationships, and I just can see my personality change in each relationship. Where my first relationship was very toxic in both ways, and I can see like the emotional abuse that I was doing to my boyfriend and I was doing to myself. Like I was not happy. Like I was just making problems in my own mind, and I was expecting my boyfriend to know about these problems and fixing them. And if
In your
he
mind.
didn't, yeah, and if he didn't do that, then he would be um, like not caring about me or something. So I would be sad, and I don't know, I would be like sitting sad in the corner, and then I would be like, oh, he's not even noticing I'm sad, he's a bad boyfriend or something. But I could also be like, hey, I'm feeling really down, can you come stop gaming and come give me a hug and watch some TV with me? If I just talked about it, that relationship could have worked a lot better. And
I
like
think,
with every relationship I had, I think I made steps in the direction of not like not expecting my boyfriends to magically know what I'm feeling, first of all,
exactly.
and also expecting them more like respecting me in the right ways. I was like I wanted them to know certain things, but I also was accepting them treating me wrong in other ways, where I was like, oh no, but that's all right. It's all right that they're like uh, changing their minds 5 times a day about whether they want to meet up with me or not. Like that's all right, but then that's
Five
also
times.
yeah. So that's like I was just doing the stupid wrong stuff, but it's like every time you communicate with something and you do a collaboration or a
Yeah.
relationship, you're going to learn, and it's not too late to realize you're wrong and change up things.
And don't forget, it's okay to make a mistake, learn from it, and with your next collaboration or next relationship, it will go better. And it is, collaborations are types of relationship, right?
It is.
It is a business a relationship, but it's still a relationship, and you need to communicate, because just like your ex-boyfriends, um, if you didn't talk to me about what your idea was about this podcast, I would never know. I
Mm-hmm.
would be like, hey, I will take the lead and be like, oh, let's do this and this. And then before you know it, I have changed your whole dream into something that is my thing.
Mm-hmm. And if we just like keep it open and realize, also just think about it, don't really talk through your emotions all the time. You can also let just something sit for a day or so and think about it, and then
Yeah,
talk about it.
that's actually what I learned in working 10 years in with a corporate company. Is every time I got an email and I was like, uh, people were pointing fingers at me that something went wrong and it was my fault because I didn't do anything, blah blah. I would react out of emotion and be like, and you did this and you did that, I cannot smell whatever you want, and blah 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 blah. And then I was right, but I was also getting in trouble because I reacted out of emotion.
Yeah, you were right, but the way you communicated it made it that they were also going to react out of emotion.
Exactly.
And
And then the whole company was like on hold because of our email exchange.
yeah, yeah, that's not great. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to this. Um, I'd like to, for you, the listener, to think about this, and I think this is a good idea. Just think about if there are things in your life where you can communicate a little kinder. Maybe if you talk to the people you care about or the people you work with in a little bit of a different way, maybe you can actually like get things done and not be like fighting each other all the time. That maybe that's something to think about. But if you don't want to, don't mind. Just ignore it and go on with your life. That's okay too.
I think that's a very good point to think about. And I've got one last question before we finished. How far did you come with your Gweny squares?
Okay, so I did. Let me just make this final stitch that I'm halfway through. I did take too much yarn, but I like sewed. I stitched away all the loose ends of my entire pile of granny squares, so that's quite a
Oh,
lot.
nice. That's a lot.
And now I put together like these. So I did 2 lines.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
So we're gonna record another podcast, and hopefully I can get a little
And then
bit
we're going to
further.
finish.
Right. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we hope
See
to
you
see
next
you in the
time.
next one. Bye bye.
Bye.